Welcome everyone. This is Jim Morentz of the SABER and XchangeCore communities, coming to you from just outside of Washington, D.C. and across the country. Hope that you're having a good start to your day. Today, we're going to be taking a look at using SABER as part of the effort to get businesses back in business faster and focusing on practicing in the national level exercise. And that doesn't mean you have to be playing in the national level exercise, because SABER is already a player in the exercise, and you can participate and practice your SABER activities, both providing and consuming information through SABER. Just build around that exercise. So we'll take a look at that as we move along and do a quick review for those of you who are new to the challenge and SABER solution. And then we'll take a focused look at how you use SABER, with always referencing how to play in the exercise, which is just an example of how we are going to do things in the real world, or do things in the real world. And we'll conclude by steps that you can take to participate in both SABER and the national level exercise. So welcome everyone, and let's get started. Start out broadly based. Businesses fail after disasters. The whole purpose of SABER has been to address this problem, because business to the community means recovery. When businesses reopen, people have jobs, they have fuel to relocate, they get food and health commodities that help to get people out of shelters. When you have construction supplies, people rebuild their homes. So businesses really mean the community can return to normal, and it's the basis for getting the community back to normal. So the challenge becomes, if we can all agree on that truism, how do we get businesses back in business faster? And what SABER did to accomplish this was really created by a founding group of Walmart and Walgreens and Target and Macy's, really led by the challenge from the state of Florida that knew about the technologies that I've helped develop over the last few years for information sharing, saying, can't we do a better job in helping the private sector have one place that they can put their business disruption and restoration information that government agencies can go to and get and use, most importantly, in software they already have. Nobody wants to go out and build something new or have to learn something new. So our whole goal has been to focus on the data. And if you had to summarize SABER in one phrase, it's status data. How it gets there is something that we specialize in, but there are lots of different ways to do that. Who uses it? There are lots of different ways to use it out there. So that focus that we have is the data. But for what reason do we care about this data? Because we believe that this status data can influence both government and business-to-business recovery priorities. So if we can give accurate and timely business status information to government and to other businesses, we are going to change priorities and help get businesses back to business faster. So let's take a look at the national level exercise in SABER, and we're going to take a look at SABER and then play through how it can be used by those of you who are playing in the exercise, as well as those of you who are just want to drop in and see what's happening. So there are three different ways that information gets into SABER. The first way is a fully automated connection, and that information comes out of some type of outage data source. It could be a security system that says, hey, this security system is operating and we have closed the store right now. We've seen it come out of their supply chain management system, ERP systems, as well as the, I just blanked on it, mentioned security. Yep, there was one other one there that I remember people are starting to use. Anyhow, that information gets processed automatically, pushed over the cloud out to SABER. And the function then is that information becomes available to organizations that are either supporting or are also impacted, meaning government organizations to support, private sector organizations that are impacted, and who also want to be able to support that information. So there are a lot of them. There can be portals, they can be incident management applications like BEOC and E-Team and others. There are applications that are common operating pictures like GeoCollaborate or the ArcGIS common operating pictures, police and fire apps, and even a free copy of Google Earth and lots more. So the whole goal here is for business operations status to come and be present and available from automated sources into all these different applications. We're going to drop out of slides now because what I've done is we happen, just as I wasn't sure they'd still be there, but as a few minutes ago, we actually have live data coming in from Walmart's direct connection into SABER that tells me that this store out in Buffalo, New York is closed right now. We've got some more reference to the information here. This one on Google Earth. This is on the SABER platform. What else do we have here? We've got a ArcGIS Online that has brought the SABER information in. And if we zoom in here, we've got little icons that illustrate that information as well. And then over here, a new product on the market developed down in South Carolina, Cloud EOC, very dynamic program, and they too have the Walmart information showing that. So just want to bring this up because that's proving this point that we're taking information from one automated system and driving it out to a variety of different types of systems here. So, and I'll do that, going to go back and forth between some prepared slides that illustrate the point and some dynamic use of the tool set. So the second way, the spreadsheet of status information from a management system or manually depending on company capability. That's a second way to do it. Information goes directly into SABER, comes out in all those different applications again. Third way is the commercial app from Spot On Response that is teamed with SABER and offers the ability to companies and governments to use both mobile app and a web application to be able to do lots and lots of things, but one of them is report from an op center or from the field in your mobile applications back through SABER, drive that information into all those different applications that you just saw and many more. So in summary, the SABER environment looks like this. We've got multiple applications that can see the SABER data, process it, take it off and use it, develop bar charts and pie charts and do whatever type of analysis you want to, because once you get the data, it's in your application, you do whatever you want with it. Comes through the SABER XchangeCore and comes through in 3 different ways. Many of these applications views, although I've given you a look at a couple, I just want to run through a few others quickly so you start to get the perception, for those of you who are SABER consumers, of the broad range of ways that you can use this information. The FEMA GeoPortal consumes this, and this is Hurricane Irma, I believe it was, yeah, Irma. And they produce reports like this each day, categorizing SABER information, providing maps, and some other statistical information about open and closed status. GeoCollaborate, a popular way to move the information back and forth and be able to have two-way exchange of information shown here. Georgia Emergency Management Agency, Robbie Bagby, who I see is on the call, did a beautiful job of taking the ArcGIS tools and building this form of analysis where we've got the categorization of the business disruption, total numbers there. This during Hurricane Irma also, if I recall, correctly, and then they developed some icons that meant something to them. The best one, I think, is the pizza for all the food stores. Great way to use the SABER data. Here, you saw a quick look at ArcGIS Online. Here's a different way to visualize the information with all the different categories and the types of stores in their own colored icons. WebEOC, commonly in use across many of the states across the country here, bring SABER information directly into the WebEOC sort of textual view of things. During the hurricanes, National Emergency Management Association and International Association of Emergency Managers built this portal, and SABER was one of the sources of information. You can see that, again, focus on the data, all the different things you can do with the data. It could be tabular at the bottom. You can do representational charts. You can do relationship graphs. You can do time series analysis. It's data. And the richer that you can use the data, the better your ability to see how this data should be influencing recovery resource allocation. Free copy of Google Earth. You just saw one of those. This is Macy's from down in Puerto Rico. Closures there. Live Earth, great program for combining the visualization with some analytics. And here they've got the information from SABER overlaid with the hurricane locations, overlaid with warning locations. Really a very nice way to do it. Florida Common Operating Picture, Gator, used this. This goes all the way back to Hurricane Matthew. We've been working with them for a long time. And the South Carolina Palmetto Vision I just mentioned to you. This is sort of, you see all these little SABER logos. When there's not something going on and you go to SABER, that's the data you get. So you have nice testing and validation information to know that you and SABER are connected. But then you might want to go simple. This is a simple Internet Explorer output into a browser. Gives you some nice tabular information. They're showing the number of different types of stores that are there, and then all the data that's available to be able to see. And then we responded to the request from the National Business Emergency Operations Center to do some trend reporting. And this is during one of the stretches of the hurricanes. The number of stores that started out in that area, the percentage that were then reopening or open at each one of those days, and then the track of, as you see in the charts below, the number of stores that were open, declining precipitously there, and then the reopening over a period of days, showing that we're coming back and restoring the community to normal. So, to refresh, this automated operations, we already took a look at it in jumping in there, but I wanted to note that there are a number of different formats that you're able to see. The Walmart happens to come out as GeoRSS, but we can consume any of these different types of formats. There are many different methods of doing it. Some are using a Google Documents to share information that they're providing and SABER is then able to consume. Others have a dynamic output, putting out either a RSS or a GeoJSON or an XML source feed, or a query of a database. Any of those things are available, and in most cases, actually in all those cases, SABER has already done that. So to do it again becomes a relatively straightforward process, and one that, as you'll see as I say, we're looking for a company even over the next couple of weeks who would like to participate in National Level Exercise 18 to pull in another automated status. So that's one of the opportunities that we have between now and the exercise in, well, actually a month from now. All right, and you saw the Walmarts already. So let's jump ahead to option number 2. And this is by far the most common option that exists today because it turns out most companies don't have automated systems for tracking the status of their stores that are in use by their ops center or their emergency management agency. So most of them are tracking stores through once or twice daily telephone calls with the stores and then keeping track on a spreadsheet. So one of the keys to SABER's success has been we don't want anybody on either side, so the consuming side or the providing side, to change what you do. So if you have a spreadsheet that you're using to track status of your stores, we can take that exact same spreadsheet and provide the way to bring that data into SABER. A couple of different use cases for how this works. I mentioned calls being made to a company operations center. They compile a spreadsheet. That spreadsheet is then put directly into SABER, and we'll take a look at how that happens. It then magically, mysteriously, technologically gets put into the SABER sharing tools and will be visible out on the portals or EOC mapping or anything else. So the first one is calls going into a company operations center. The second one is a company can push that responsibility down to individual stores, perhaps, or district managers. We'll give an illustration of that. You can then, from a single location or a single company, have multiple pieces of information coming in, spreadsheets that are being uploaded through SABER and make their way into SABER and out the other side. And then there's the third case where the BEOC actually becomes the consolidator. And we're starting to see this in states where they have not only just sort of national footprint stores, like Safeway stores or grocery stores or others, but they have many local stores that might have 1, 2, 3, half a dozen stores in their area. And what they're doing is serving as the central location to receive that information, just like they're doing now, except then have something to do with that information. They're able to track it on a spreadsheet easily and be able to provide that through SABER as the BEOC and be able to deliver that information out. So we're going to take a look at a couple of those case studies now. So over here, the SABER website, this is the way when you are going to do an upload of information, you come in as a member. Click in the center there, the member, and here you see everybody gets a button from Boyd Gaming to Sears, Target, Walgreens, down in the utility sector, a couple of California water and electric utilities, BEOCs and clearinghouses in Indiana and Maryland and Rhode Island and other places. So what we're going to do, I'm going to simulate a couple of things right now. First one is we're going to be a Lowe's district manager. So let's say we've had a little earthquake out there in the desert. So we've got these, just my rough knowledge of California. These stores are now calling in. We're talking, I've got 3 of them here that are closed, and then there's another one there that's closed. So we've got 4 Lowe's stores that are closed. So I'm the Lowe's district manager. I've been listening to my call. I saved that information. Now what I want to do is be Lowe's and say I need to share that out with SABER, but also at the same time you can be sharing it with your corporate headquarters. So it gives you an opportunity perhaps to streamline that sharing process. So now I'm going to come here and pick that newly updated Lowe's 88 District 880, and I'm simply going to click Upload. Takes a second and it says, okay, we're working. Well, did it that quickly. There's usually a spinner or something that tells you that it's being uploaded, but here we've created 4 Lowe's records. Now, let's do it the other example, and then we'll look at all of them. Over here, I'm now going to be Maryland. Maryland BEOC, here are all their members of their BEOCs from Targets and Safeways and small stores and some county things and CNS Wholesale. So lots and lots of organizations. And what we want to say is, okay, we've got something going on. up here near Baltimore. So I'm going to close this Dunkirk store, and we got a couple more out here in Brandywine, and we already had one up here in California, Maryland, that was closed. And let's take one more over here in Annapolis, and we're going to close it. So that quickly, as people are calling in or sending emails, I'm keeping track of this information and closing those stores. I'm going to save that, and we're going to come over here now to Maryland BEOC. I'm going to select that. I'm going to find my Maryland BEOC members, and I'm going to upload that. And it's going to go off, and now here up at the top you see that this is processing in there, and we got our 6 that have been uploaded there. Now, so we got things happening in 2 different parts of the country. And what I want to do, let's start out over here with Google Earth and come in here. Let's refresh this. And what we're going to find are those couple of Walmart stores are still over there. We've got down here in Maryland, we've got that BEOC Safeway, and there's a Maryland Lowe's and a couple of others. If I click on that, you see different kinds of information. Walmart just provided a little bit. That's what they wanted. Over here, the Maryland BEOC says I've got my closed status, I've got phone numbers, I've got address, I have a current power status, generator deployed, damage summary, restoration needs. This is proving that point that we take whatever information the organization wants to provide. So Maryland will be gathering this from their sources, providing that information in, and we've got this nice clean picture of what's happening in the Maryland area. And let's zip over to California. It's down here somewhere in Southern California. We've got some Lowe's stores that we closed. And in Lowe's, we've got the status district information, don't have any of the generator status information, but we know where they are, who they are, and we understand that they're closed. So that's the way that we are able to get spreadsheet information in very, very efficiently, and putting all the burden of doing it on the company, but lowering that burden significantly from what they were having to do before, and providing all of the information into exactly the same set of software that consumers, government agencies, have been using all along. So the next one we want to deal with is the mobile app. It's a combination of mobile app and a web application. And there are a couple of different cases that it is beneficial for. One is a store owns the mobile app, and the individual stores or district managers are going to send that information up to headquarters. And why would the store want to own the mobile app? Well, because the mobile app does more than just do store reporting. It's a source of hazard awareness. We'll take a look at some traffic information, weather radar, and earthquake information. There are a whole set of things that SABER is growing and providing to those, so it makes it a valuable tool every day. A store would want to have it because they can track employee status and the ability of their employees to return to work. And they can even provide emergency response plans and checklists for employees that will be permanently registered on their mobile phone. So there's advantage to having it. But what we want to focus on is up here in the upper right-hand corner, and we'll take a look at this live, is the ability to come in here and say, hey, I've closed, or we have some sort of special condition or limited hours, or there's we're open, there's nothing unusual going on. And when that information happens, it goes to the corporate headquarters, and it's provided to SABER whatever portions of that the company wants to provide. So there's a gatekeeper there. And if you want to stay with yes, only open or close information, definitely can do that. If you want to provide more information, that's available as well. So the value to the employees, the individual stores, districts, all the way up to corporate headquarters, and then the benefit of that becomes getting SABER information in. Now there's a second case in there that we think we're seeing happening now, is where a BEOC actually is the one that provides the information to the stores, or provides the app access to their members. This allows the BEOC to provide that constant situational awareness and hazard monitoring. So all those little alerts that you're sending out now in one way or another can all go to your private sector business members. Government agencies can provide instructions if you now require a transportation waiver or credentials or something like that. You can provide that information directly out to everyone. And it also provides pager-like alerts that, if we have time, I'll show you or have you listen to a siren going off that says, hey, government's trying to communicate with you, you business right now, because we want you to know something or we want to get something from you. So the benefit of this tool set to support SABER is significant. In the same way, that information then all goes to the BEOC, and the BEOC then determines what gets shared out of its version of SABER out to the general version of SABER. So a couple different steps there, and that is going a couple of different ways. Some are saying, okay, the BEOC is going to then publish to SABER. Other ones are using SABER to take the burden off of them of being able to publish data directly out to their maps and into their web BOCs. So SABER can then become really a adjunct to your IT department to be able to see some of the benefits of the business closure status. So let's go at this point and let's take a little bit of a look at that. And let's stick some of these things down here. And what we have over here is the mobile app. This is my phone that you're seeing the image of right here. And if I come in here to spot on response, I'm going to click on that. And what I have is I am simulating that I am Macy's at this point. So I'm Macy's Eastern Regional person. I'm Macy's, so there are a number of things that I want to be able to do. And let's say that I'm this regional manager. And what I've got is the ability to come into any one of these stores and say, okay, I've got this store out here. It's Salisbury, Maryland. We have a problem in Salisbury, Maryland right now. So I'm going to take a look at the Salisbury, Maryland store. If I'm a district person, I actually get to see my driving directions out to that store. But what I want to do at this point is I want to tell you that this store is closed. So I just come up here to my status, and I'm going to say we're closed. I'm going to save those changes. And what I've got is closed Macy's store out here. And what we're going to see is, for those who are on the SABER map, you've got this little gray star. So we now have a visual indicator of what's going on in SABER, as well as on the map, as well as if I scroll down here someplace, I'm going to find that closed store. There we are. There's my closed store. At the same time, that's getting sent off to SABER. So I've got the app here. It's getting sent off to SABER. Let's say that I'm a district manager and I've got lots of stores. I don't want to be chasing them all over the place. So I come over here to my status, and I'm going to take my site status, and my district here is a big one. We've got Kuwait City and other places. But let's take Cape Cod. I'm going to close somebody in Cape Cod. I'm going to close somebody over here in South Portland. I'm going to close this one over here in Dartmouth, and I've got a Derby, and I've got the South Shore Plaza is just open under limited hours, and over here is somebody else who has limited hours. That quickly, as a district manager, and were I a district manager, only the stores in my district will be coming up here. But it allows me to be able to pull all that information up just that quickly. So let's go over and see what we've got over here in Google Earth that illustrates. Let's come back here and refresh that information and see what we've got happening over here in Macy's. Yeah, right over here. There's that Salisbury one that we just closed. There's the information that has just come from this person over here who was my individual store manager who closed their store. And the other ones were up in New England someplace. They haven't shown up. Oh, no, there we go. No, that's the Walmarts. That's still there. It takes a minute or two for things to percolate through the system. Let's go over here and let's take a look at what we're getting coming through on ArcGIS. Let's refresh that, see what additional things we have on ArcGIS. And here we do, in fact, have all those Lowe's stores. We didn't take a look at them earlier. We've got the ones that we've had unfolding here, and they're coming in, and there is still that Walmart over there. So the information flying through from a number of places, and this stuff will show up again in a minute or so. And back to some of the earlier quick points. If I'm over here and I say, you know what, I really am concerned about the upcoming weather, again, I can drag this information in, and I'm going to have my on my mobile app, I'm going to have my weather radar information that perhaps explains why those Walmart stores are closed up there in the corner. So bringing together all of that information to be able to provide that as quickly as one needs to not have a burdensome set of activities that are taking place on the business side, and by using the same information that you have and the same applications that you have, you're able to pull that information into the kinds of systems that you're using every day in your government facilities. So a little bit of a summary. You want to play as a provider. We've got the status upload that you can do at no cost. We'll work with you to figure out how you want to define that spreadsheet to provide open, closed, or other additional information if you want to. You need to provide us the spreadsheet. We do the integration, and then you can participate. You'll have a button that's up on the SABER space site, just like we saw, and you're able to participate in that throughout the exercise. And once it's over, you're permanently part of SABER at that point. Nothing will need to be done in a real emergency. Next, a direct connection. As I mentioned, we've got Walmart's doing that now. A couple of other people are moving in that direction. We probably have time to do one, maybe two companies between now and the exercise. So you've got some capabilities there. Let us know. We have the capability of doing that right now. And then the mobile app. Mobile app, we're looking for a few companies to pilot the use of the mobile app to do both the open and closed kind of status we saw, but do some more information that we provide. And we can either do companies or business emergency operation centers if you want to be able to deploy that out. And full disclosure, ultimately it is a commercial application, but for national level exercise period and a pilot testing, the spot on response company is willing to make that available for you to play with and get a feel from and provide them some feedback. As a consumer, it's way easier. Enroll in SABER. You get the guide to working with SABER status data. You're going to use your own software, or if you want to, you can use that SABER status map that's up on our website. But best thing is to use your own software. And one phone call, we can work with your IT people, either your incident management people or your common operating picture people, or if they're both, one conversation, and we can bring people in, and have done 2 states over the last several days just with a conversation, they're up and running. And then we've got a little post-exercise evaluation that we're going to ask you to do, but it'll be 15 minutes at most. And a reminder to consume SABER data costs nothing. All we want you to do is join to work in the SABER status map. Part of that pilot is going to be to look at some expanded business information about both problems and needs. And the things that we're going to be collecting have to do with improving business. The fact that they end up into SABER help us, or help business, help governments and business to business to do a better job of resource priorities. But the real goal is to be able to say, okay, do you need to know more about your stores? As a BEOC, do you want to know more about your member locations? So it's useful both on the government side and the corporate side. And what we discovered in surveying all our people in the BEOCs is that what they are looking for, companies are looking for, is not to be able to find out where things are open or closed. They don't only care about what's wrong. So what we discovered was that if things are okay, I don't want to hear about it. So the only operating status that gets reported are problems with operating status. Everything else is just normal. Problems with employees returning to work, any physical damage to the facility, problems with your supporting infrastructure, utilities and all, or communications or transportation, or getting commodities to resupply a retail location or a manufacturer, problems carrying out financial transactions, or you have a problem getting help from government. That's the information that we have begun to assemble, and just want to give you one very quick example of that. So we've got, by the way, remember those guys up in New England we were looking for, those closed Macy's? They finally showed up here. So a couple minutes. There's an open Macy's, and this is going to be a closed Macy's here. There's a closed and open one. So didn't want to let you think those floated away someplace. But what we have is a very quick way to take a look at what the status is and conditions are about an individual location. So we're now here, a single place. Those questions come up, and they can be seen both on the mobile app as here. Everything's done as a drop-down list, so we've got limited hours today. No damage to the physical facility, but I'm using my generator. I have fuel for 2 to 4 hours. Let's see what this one says. Do I have a problem with transportation access for customers or my suppliers? Well, I've got debris clearance in the road, so that's why they're not getting in. There's a curfew and restricted hours or evacuation orders in place. We got credentials are required for recovery. Any one of those things are creating a problem for transportation access to a store. Gathering this information, let's make this one evacuated. Gathering this information allows us to then offer more information to government and to help them help us do a better job of recovering from problems. And that information gets collected into a format that looks like this, where I've got every one of my stores are reporting in, and I can come over here and see I've got this one's limit hours, this one's closed, limited hours. I've got address information for them. I've got, these have problems with utilities. I got a couple over there. These guys are having some road and evacuation problems associated with it. This guy's got telephone out. There are people who are having problems getting their employees in. All that information can be pumped right out into a spreadsheet, and you're able to, let's just put that in there just to show it to you. And you're able to do whatever type of analysis that you want to be able to do, provide that up to your management or as a BEOC, you're then able to say, wow, look at the cluster of stores that we have in this area over here in Massachusetts. I've got this cluster of people here, and they all happen to be reporting that the reason they're not opening is because credentials are required in order to get into the area. Can we do anything to improve their credentialing? So that in-depth information gathered at the most local level rolls up then and becomes valuable for decisions being made at city, county, state, and even national levels. So those are the components of what we want to do, and ask you if you're interested to explore that with us on that mobile app and web application. As you saw, I did that all on the web application so that you can sit in an office and do that and don't have to be using your phone all the time. But looking for companies to do that, state BEOCs, private sector or voluntary organizations, non-governmental organizations. And if you're interested in exploring that over the next month through NLE 11, then let me know, jim@saberspace.org. So with that, let me give you all of our status information there so you can connect. And if, in fact, any of you have raised your hand, I've got a question there from Scott. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? Scott, I can click on you, and you are now unmuted if you have a question, Scott. Anybody else, if you just punch in a question or raise your hand?
Sure. Jim, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. I was wondering about, I saw you have utilities, you have San Jose Water, you have Cal ISO, looking at possibility of sharing customer outage information, and how you think that could be used, or if there are specific needs for that data that might help some of the business managers make decisions on opening or closing based on the time of restoration.
Yes, I think there's no question that utility information is critical to everything that functions from here. And I believe that the combination of utility information that says there's no electricity here and business information that says, I don't care. I've got a generator, I've got 3 days of supply. Don't think of me and this business area as out of business just because there's no electricity. I think there's a real mistake that can be made of saying, whoa, no electricity, everybody's suffering. That's not necessarily true, because people have and plan for alternative ways of being able to manage their operations and keep the people supported in their ability to just live as close to daily life after an emergency. So I think the combination of the two could be rich, very rich. Okay, well, let me thank you for joining in today. Certainly hope you take advantage of some of the things that we have coming up over the next month. It's a rich set of information that you can both get to add to your incident management operations. You don't have to be in National Level Exercise 18 in order to play through SABER and get the benefit of sharing that information. And during the exercise, we'll be doing a webinar at least one of the days, maybe each one of the days at noontime, just to give you a peek into what's going on so you can observe what's happening. So with that, let me bid everyone a excellent next couple of weeks. Please give me a call or shoot me an email, because plenty of opportunity here to use this as an incentive to get organized with SABER. Thank you, everybody, and all the best to John Ryan from calling in from Ireland. Great to see you again, John.